All right. Well, we last left off with most of our characters gathering back into the small town of Wirt, and Walter, our muckraker reporter, was diligently copying down the strange designs that were seen on the ground. And it looks a little bit like this. And I've given a copy of this for Walter, since it's in his notebook. But that's what it looks like, except for there's little piles of schmeck at each corner of the 12-pointed star.
Just shut the bathroom door. No.
And who was walking in, catching?
It was myself and the
Walton's
sheriff.
Stupor, right? Well, I'm sure. So we're gonna hold action before you or the sheriff do anything. And Walter, you're concentrating hard on, let's say, doing your best to recreate the symbol, so it could be possibly rendered some way into print form, perhaps, or just for your own notation. And you realize that you've slipped into a certain layer of unconsciousness. You weren't particularly feeling tired or anything, but definitely, and you're it's black as unconsciousness happens, and you slowly start getting this vision of a Colt 45 pistol, very shiny, like it's been chromed or something, with a white handle, and it's being clutched by an old man's hand, or at least an old person's hand. Otherwise, entirely black background. You literally just see the gun and the hand. And it's sort of profile to you. And you hear the following: contact, chaos, consume, power, founders. You notice the gun is now slowly starting to pivot slowly towards you. Hunger, translate, soon, profit, protect, first, document. At this point, the gun is pivoted 90 degrees and appears to be pointing straight at you. All you see, though, is the gun and the hand. By the time you get to the arm, it just sort of drifts off like it's green screened away. Recover. Question. And the gun's now pointing directly at you.
Am I on full on receive mode, or can I do or say anything?
You get the feeling that you should potentially ask a question.
Who are you?
Benefactor. At this point, the gun starts to sort of fade away a little bit, becomes sort of transparent. It darkens, if you will. If you could, please, I'd like for you to roll a scrutinize. Difficulty 7.
Scrutinize. Say again?
Difficulty of 7.
Okay, which scrutinize is, oh, got it. All right, I got a shot at this. Oops, 7. 8. 4. And I did roll 1 8, which explodes to a 12. So that's no raise though.
All right. Reminding me about that success. You'll know when to remind me.
Okay.
At this point, the gun entirely disappears, and slowly your vision refocuses again. And this time you see literally a pair of hands wearing a white sleeves all the way up to the elbows, where you see a little black garter on each arm. And the hands are holding a deck of cards like this out to you.
Card, any card.
Shall I pick?
Time to play.
Oh, I don't play on an empty stomach.
Please, please
what would you
shuffle your deck of cards and give yourself 5 cards.
5 cards. Been shuffling them already, but I'll give them one more
Just for the
shuffle.
record, this can't be good.
Actually, it maybe depends on how I do. 5 top cards.
5 from the top after you're done shuffling.
Okay, should I face them down or face them up as I go?
It's up to you.
Okay, I'll look at them.
Now, to us, he's just lying on the floor, twitching, right?
Okay.
Yes. You don't know how much time this is taking from his point of view. You have your 5 cards.
I have my 5 cards.
Do you feel like you need to replace any of those cards?
If this was like draw poker, and you can do up
A
to
little
3
bit.
cards. If it was draw poker, I would try to replace 2 cards.
2 cards. 2 panes. Do you wish to continue to replace your 2 cards?
Yeah.
Okay, get rid of your cards you want to, and
Okay.
take 2 new cards.
Oh, this would be oh well. That would have been pretty sweet. Okay.
All right. From your chips that you have,
Okay.
kind of randomly move them around in your hands and discard 2 of your chips.
2 of my chips. All right, I'm gonna have to do this symbolically. Wait, so I have 2 whites, 2 reds. Actually, interestingly enough, I have 2 whites, 2 reds, and 2 blues. So
Okay, great. So
I don't actually have chips, but I'm going to.
roll a d6.
Okay.
What was the result of that d6?
4.
4. So get rid of 1 red.
Okay.
Roll a d6 again.
1.
Get rid of a white.
Oh, damn. All righty.
What was the hand that you got?
In terms of poker,
Yes.
well, I just missed having a straight, but I have a 10 jack, king, ace. So that's what I was hoping the 6 would be, and a 6 of clubs. So I was like, oh, if I pull a straight, that'd be pretty amazing. But
So you have an ace.
So you have
I
an
have an
ace high.
I have an ace high.
Okay. just so you know,
Mhm.
this is what you were playing against.
Having a hard time reading it. Okay.
So you were playing against the Queen High.
Sweet, maybe.
I didn't have much
I
of a
gave
hand.
up 2 chips.
So the
but,
good news is you get to keep your soul.
Most
now.
of it anyway.
First thing is, first you have to play me in a fiddle match. I don't play fiddle. Well, then it's probably not going to go well for you.
The hands and cards now slowly fade from your view.
Okay.
Going back to the first voice that you heard,
Okay.
aim. And with that, you get a vision of a torn off arm and a blackened / purplish tongue licks the arm. Then you see a different arm and the same tongue licks that arm. Then you see a leg and another leg, same thing, it's licked. The forehead of a man is licked, and the small of the back of a woman's torso is licked. You
Lot of
then
licking.
hear again from the same voice, servant.
Shit, I didn't hear that last thing. I apologize.
The word was servant.
Servant. Yeah, I got everything else. I wrote everything down too. Servant.
At this point, you feel your body shaking, and you open your eyes, and you see Chris shaking you.
You all right, Walt?
I don't know.
You seem to be a little bit out of it.
You could say that. I need a drink right now.
Go behind the bar, grab a bottle of rye, hand it over. You want me to get the sheriff? Go get the doc.
Yeah, I want a drink. And
Actually,
I want
get
a
the
drink and I
doc
want some
and
fresh
Vance.
air.
Get everyone in here. We have to talk.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to take the bottle and get some fresh air. And get
And
away
who
from
crapped in my pants?
I want to get away from the sigil on the floor and have a drink and get some fresh air.
Okay, the sheriff kind of runs about and gathers up everybody else wherever everybody else particularly was. I believe, Vance, you were, excuse me. Where were you, Vance? We can't hear you.
I was behind the bar pouring drinks originally, so I've just been behind the bar cleaning my weapons.
Ah, okay, fair enough. So you're easy enough to get together. I would imagine Chris probably asked you to grab the bottle of rye. Gustav, where were you?
I believe where I left off is we were searching part of the building. So I'm in the same room, but I wasn't quite next to him when this happened.
Okay, I think you were searching the little back room.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, you didn't find anything particularly interesting back there, but you did find some more ammunition for that shotgun that was behind the bar. And Doctor, where were you hanging out?
Last I recall, we were checking out that trap door up into the attic that didn't really pan out into anything. But I don't know. That's the last place I remember specifically being. We went to the post office. So I don't recall where I was last. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. All right.
So I'm somewhere about.
All right. So the let's say you were still lingering in the post office, just kind of gathering up stuff along with Troy. And
Definitely not tampering with the mail.
Do not tamper with the mail, no matter how backed up it is. And the sheriff comes and grabs you and says, I think we need a little conclave together. Walt had a spell in the saloon.
All right, head over.
He's got the vapors.
Anyone got any smelling salt?
Loosen his corset.
It's for back support.
Learned that in Shanghai.
It's a back support, not a corset.
Death of Stalin.
Okay, so you all come out to the thoroughfare of the town, up on, I guess, the boardwalk of the saloon, and you all definitely notice that Walt's a little paled out, a little bit, a little seemingly disturbed. I'll send another message here.
The fact that I haven't been chatted with yet hurts my feelings.
That's
I feel like I'm being
So-
left out.
it's not everything you wanted.
On the upside, I've kept my soul so far.
That is true. Did you see your message?
Okay. Yes, I did.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
You're now all out onto the boardwalk. It is now definitely dark outside. Walt is pale and having himself, he's not even bothering with the glass. He's taking it from the bottle tip.
It's entirely medicinal. Well, gentlemen, kind of faded out there for a while, and I think I had an honest to goodness vision, which is first for me, hopefully the last as well. But I was in the other room drawing that sigil because there's a story of a lifetime here. That's what I do. I write, and as I was drawing, I kind of went into, I guess they would call it a trance, and saw something really unfamiliar. I saw a Colt 45, shiny, being held by an old man. Just presumably the hand looked old, and he said a series of words to me in a very, very I wouldn't say menacing, but a very compelling voice. And I jotted them down, which I have done. And he said, in order: contact, chaos, consume, power. It sounded like founders, hunger, translate, soon, profit, protect. I think it was burst, recover, document, recover, question, aim, and then the last thing was servant. And that's when a hand appeared with a set of cards, and basically I think I just played draw poker for my soul, or I feel very drained. Thankfully, I believe I won. I had ace high to the queen high, and at that point I had a series of visions, and I had a vision of a torn off arm that was licked from various body parts, men and women. And I had a vision of a pair of hands. Well, the second vision, I should say, was the pair of hands with sleeves and a garter like a poker dealer or a faro dealer. And that's when I played.
Did you say
game.
licked? Did you say licked like with your tongue or linked?
Lick like with your tongue. Arm, I think 2 arms, small of a back, a forehead.
You feeling all right there, Walt?
So
Not really.
You look a little sweaty.
I'm a little drained.
You know what's interesting here, Walt, is it sounds like the parts that you saw were the parts that were taken from these people here.
Yes. I did ask one question before, I guess, the poker game. And I asked, "Who are you?" And the answer was just one word. There's always just one word, and it was benefactor. So I don't think what I saw was necessarily trying to hurt me. I think it was trying to give us information about what we're hunting, or at least maybe the bigger game at hand beyond what we're seeing here. But I don't know if this is good or bad or something else, but I think we're kind of drawn into this game, fellas, and it's pretty high stakes.
And speaking of helping and finding, so the sheriff and I were able to get a good track of the thing. 'Cause I don't believe that a man could do this. Looks like he's headed towards, of my best guess, he's headed towards the town that Swearingen wanted, the mining area that Swearingen wanted to look at. Now we have a question before us is he's not that far ahead of us. If we rode through the night, we could get there by morning, my guess, and be caught up with him and see what he's doing. I'll tell you folks right now that I'm looking for justice for the people in this town and the people back in the town that this thing is taken for, and I don't aim to be bringing him back alive. There needs to be a reckoning for his deeds, and I aim to carry it out.
People, nothing for the little girl.
Absolutely, my friend.
Well, so far, correct me if I'm mistaken, gentlemen, what we're dealing with hasn't been dealing with firearms. This has all been a supernaturally, shall we say, sharp weapon of some sort, and perhaps lightning reflexes, because hasn't it appeared that the victim didn't really even have a chance to respond? So, well,
There's the other question that we found, that there seems to be something involving cold with this creature. Recall that the blood that we found was frozen. The stoves are unnaturally cold, almost like they were put out. Not
Did
put
we
out by
see-
water, but snuffed by just having the heat sucked out of them. I'm not saying this is going to be easy, but it's got to be done, and I'm going to do it.
Didn't we see marks on the roof, like it came down from the roof? So maybe need to keep our eyes peeled and looking up. It came out of the sky.
So,
Well-
so I think the question that we have now is: do we leave now? Do we wait until the morning? My yen is to leave now and catch up with this thing. It's not going to be easy, but I don't see a choice that we have in letting this thing get established and where it's going. It's going to make it that much harder to deal with.
I second that.
I
I'm
think
down to ride.
The problem I have is we got up at the butt crack of dawn, and it's now nighttime, and it's, we ride all night. I'm not sure how much good we're going to be when we get there. Because riding at night is it's going to be a more strenuous activity anyway.
Well, I would say
So-
there's two ways we could do this. If we go, we can either kind of cheat, so to speak, and go right towards that town, which will be faster. If we have a feeling that's where this thing is going, or do we take the time to actually track?
So Marshall, was the route it took a direct route, or was it following the actual trail to get to this town?
Only the last mile or so did the track that Christopher was tracking get onto one of the hard trails that led directly into work.
mean, I'm willing to go along with with the group. However, I think we're going to be pretty tuckered out by the time we get there. And, will we be in a condition to fight something?
I don't
So
think
I would caution, I don't know how much sleep I'm going to be able to get, but we might want to take a break in the middle and just catch a little bit of shut eye so that we're a little bit rested. Although if time is, I mean, I don't know what I get the fact that there's some time pressure. I'm not sure why needing to, I mean, are we beating them to their home base when we don't even know where their home base is? I'm not really sure. Anyway, so I'm not sure what I get the sense that there's a general pressure on time, but riding through the night could get us, one of us could hurt our, I guess we have a spare horse, but one of us could twist break a leg on a horse. Anyway, just things to think about. I'm just going to be cautious because I'm a doctor.
Well, Doc, if you're worried about getting
Just shoot
tired,
your eye out.
I'm sure you got some cocaine in that doctor's bag there.
Well, as you know,
That'll put the edge on you.
medicinal energy doesn't always last, and
That's for
it often
toothache.
has very ill effects when you're done.
When your tooth hurts, you just rub a little cocaine on it.
Vance, give me a smarts roll at a difficulty of 5, please.
Oh, okay. Where's my smarts? Oh, sweet.
Roll a bunch of ones.
I hate you, Walt.
Oh no.
2
Thanks,
1s, a 2, and a 3.
Thanks, Jinx McGee.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't meant to be.
Never mind then.
Yeah.
Let me think about that for a second. Walt, you can give me the same roll, please.
Smarts. All right. The question is, did I pre-jinx myself back into normal statistical?
So I'm going to have to put you at a difficulty of 7 just because of the state you're in right now.
All right. 1-8.
Okay. You recall when you were flanking around the town, this little town, right?
Yes.
Behind the dry goods store, there was a wagon.
Well, we should check that out.
Um,
So we could check it out, and I guess what I was going to suggest is we could take the wagon and our 2 best tracker horseback riders. Maybe that's the sheriff. Probably, obviously you, Christopher, could go ahead, and then we could basically take the cart a little slower, a little steadier, but head toward the direction of the town. We could have a signal involving gunfire, which should carry, because we probably will be close enough to hear that. That way we can heed the good doctor's advice about not being reckless, but then letting our best riders out front. What do you think?
Not a bad idea. Anyone know how to drive a wagon?
I saw Silverado.
I don't think
I mean, we have if anyone has horseback. Oh, Teamster.
Teamster.
Nah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or actually driving, I believe.
Driving. Yeah.
yeah, there's a
Okay.
driving.
Nope.
That's a big no.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
I mean, I've got a nimbleness of 2d10, which is not great. But
Doctor, you were
Better than mine.
you had taken, did you take samples from the stars? I mean, did you examine the Arcanum at all?
I have not had time. I mean, we've been basically running the whole time. So I've taken samples for later perusal or later investigation, but we haven't stopped in any place. So anyway, no, I haven't had a chance to do any real investigation of it.
Okay.
And I would like, before we leave, if we are setting out of this town, I don't want anyone else to get caught in that strange spell that Walt got into. I'd like to disrupt the pattern of this thing on the floor, so no townsfolk walk in on it and get sucked up into something
Fairly easily
Yeah.
done. It's looks like it was put on the floor. It's just wood coal, just from a burnt chunk of wood onto the floor of the thing. So it's
If we have everything we need from that pattern, I prefer to get rid of it. That's right with you guys.
I
At
think
least
that's
it
a
wasn't
wise
drawn with like
precaution.
trails or anything like that.
unless Walt suggests that everybody else stare at the pattern for any length of time.
And he keeps trying to show it to us. I don't want to look at it. Look at my drawing. Look what I drew. Nope, we're good.
Show that to me again, Walt. I'm going to shoot you.
Well, at least Walt had a nice nap.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
Well,
true.
so yeah, it was very restful. The gun pointed, spectral gun pointed at your head. That's very calming. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the wagon set up. If nobody else can do it, I'll take the first leg, I guess, with my general nimbleness. I don't have Teamster. I don't have driving.
I will ride my horse with the trackers.
Yeah, I mean, in general, most of y'all have a relatively good. A couple of y'all have, some decent nimbleness to the point where, handoffs could be done for part of the ride. I guess the question is, are you going to be tracking the track, or are you going to, you could pick up speed by taking, the packed trails that lead to Aetna.
Yeah. And my inclination from the track and where you're going, that's where he was headed.
That is your gut feeling, yes.
Yeah. So
So
packed roads will also make it a little bit easier on the horses. We won't be going over hills and all that. And then when we think we're getting close to the town, we can start taking a little bit more caution to it. So that's probably a good idea.
and from your knowledge, the mine from the map that Dan gave you looks like it's about a mile out of town. Luckily, from your point of view, it is on this side of Aetna. So you could take the cart in very close to Aetna, and then go off road if you want to go straight to the mine if you want, or proceed straight into town. However you want to do it. Just giving you a sort of a mental.
It sounds like I think our plan, the best course of action, let's head to Aetna. Keep to the roads. I'm sure that's where he is going. If I remember from the map correctly, we hit the town first and then the mine. So once we get to the outskirts of the town,
Other way
way
around.
around, we hit the mine first.
Yeah, you would hit
Okay.
the mine largely. You'd have to go a little off-roading to get to the mine, but the mine is on this side.
Yes, I got it. So the approach side. So we get just to the outskirts of the mine, then we start seeing what's going on. Sound good, gentlemen?
sounds good.
Sounds good.
Let's ride.
So just one note for you guys. One of you made a mention. I'll say this when the sheriff is not within earshot, or I'll mention it to everybody separately. You guys mentioned that we were asked to go check out that mine. That's not something the sheriff knows, and we probably need to be careful not to reveal too many of who's the guy that hired us.
We'll say for convenience's sake, the sheriff was out getting the wagon when you started talking about mine and such like that with Troy and the other guy who's with your group. So
I mean, worst case, we could tell the sheriff, if it became necessary, we could just say, he asked us to look into some unusual stuff going on at the mine, which could dovetail with what we're seeing here.
No, easily we can say that some of us could stay back to watch the mine while the rest go into town. It only takes really one person to watch a mine.
Well, it didn't sound like, I don't know if it didn't sound like he thought there was anything particularly nefarious going on in the mine, just that there was maybe illegal mining going on, or
Right.
But he also
Exactly.
said people shouldn't be messing around there, whatever that means. Or, I'm paraphrasing. So anyway, I don't think it would hurt if we had to mention that, we were asked to take a look if we end up in that neck of the woods. Anyway.
And Chris, depending on if you want it to be perhaps semi-deceitful, you could certainly say, "Oh, the trail goes."
Yeah,
You can kind of lead the party wherever you
wherever
feel
I
like you
want them to.
You know, but the sheriff comes around with Lloyd and Tony. It wasn't Troy, it was Tony, and he's gathered up most of the horses, and says, "All right, ready to go." He's even got a bullseye lantern lashed to the wagon. It's not a cart. Turns out to be a sort of your classic, canvas sheet over hoops style wagon.
So just one other thing is the bodies, we wrapped them up in blankets and gathered them somewhere, probably in the room with the symbols, and then just tack something to the door that says, "Do not enter by order of the sheriff." Something like that.
Okay.
Crime scene.
I'm gonna invent something like a crime scene on a piece of rope. We'll just
Let's see. All right.
All right, let's beat feet.
Y'all start riding. And to make it clear, you are going on the trail, right?
Yes.
So you're leaving your track. You've got to get a mental picture of what the new horse prints look like. You probably did a quick sketch or something, perhaps. And why don't you, matter of fact, why don't you go ahead and give me a tracking roll just to see how well you kind of got it locked in your mind. And we'll put it at a difficulty 5 because you saw it during the daylight.
11, so 1 raise.
Okay, good. All right, you got a good lock on it. You're confident that if you need to pick it up again, you won't get confused by another trap. And you start heading off. Thud up. Everybody's clacking coconuts together. And, and you guess at the speed that you're making and relative familiarity with the trails and such, you're probably no more than, it might be close to like a 4-hour ride. It's not really all that horrible to Aetna at this speed. So who is in the wagon? Okay. The doctor.
Are our horses just hitched up behind the wagon? If we're not, if we're.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Walt and the doctor. Anybody else in the wagon? I know, Chris, you're riding your horse. Vance, you said you're going to be riding your horse.
Yep.
Greg,
I'm very obviously riding mine.
right. Greg, I guess we'll assume that Greg is riding his horse as well. We'll say that Lloyd is in with the wagon as well, and the other guy is on his horse. So a fair amount of room still left in the wagon. You could even have maybe moved some of your supplies off your horses to the wagon to sort of lighten the load a little bit. And who is driving?
Oh God.
I believe the good doctor was driving the first leg.
Excellent.
Let's hope he's the adequate doctor when it comes to driving.
My driving is almost as good as my surgery skill. And off
good.
they go into a dish.
And so go ahead and give me that drive-in roll, is going to be your nimbleness at a toughness level of 7.
Come on.
I got a 1 and a 2.
Wow.
2d10.
You suck, Doctor.
Wow. Okay. That is a
Sounds like a
Broken
broken
wheel.
wagon wheel to me.
This might be an opportunity to spend some chips.
All right, so white one lets me roll another one of those dice.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna burn a white one. Do I have to decide, or can I add them as I keep shanking rolls?
I think you only can do one.
Yeah.
You might
Um,
want to burn an additive dice. Burn a.
You're right. So if you opt to spend white chips, you have to make your amount of white chips that you're spending. I'm going to burn 1. Okay, you can't then add on another. Oh, I'm going to throw one more in. So basically, you're locked in on the classification of the color of the chips.
And then I want to say, before you can spend a white one again, you have to spend a different color. I thought I read something.
Yeah.
like
So
that.
yeah, that's what I mean. So you're locked in, like.
So
if
could
the
I
rest
decide to
is white-
spend? So could I decide to spend 2 white chips right now and roll 2 more d10s?
Yes.
Yes.
Let's do that. 2 white chips going back in the bag. Garcon.
Yep.
Garcon means boy.
An 8.
Yes. We're not gonna die. We're not gonna die.
Yeah, an 8 and a 1.
Okay.
Get those ones out of your system there, buddy.
So
It's gonna be a short night.
you got a success, which is what you need. So,
I figured it out. If you pull back, they slow down.
they slow down. Yeah. And if you kind of go like that,
And if you pull the left side, they go left.
they kind of left and right.
Took a little while, but I got it now.
You probably got, that front chair is very sort of squishy, and you can't. Whoa. Okay, can't just lean into it. You gotta,
If I shoot a bullet right past the horse's head, they really go.
and you
Usually
get
we had it during the war. We had enlisted that would do this stuff.
you
I
get
would ride
through
the
the
back
first
and
2
take down.
hours, and Doctor, you've had a pretty long day, and you're starting to feel somewhat fatigued, and you think it's probably time to hand off the reins to another driver.
Yeah, definitely have been moving around a lot, and I got to rest my leg. So
Maybe
Yeah,
Lloyd can drive. He's got a good.
sure, we can give that a shot. Let's see.
Because you do not want me driving.
what's the worst thing that could happen?
That's why I'm on a horse.
What is
God,
the worst thing that
I'm
could happen?
I'm rethinking this whole ride in the wagon thing.
How'd you get a total party kill on a wagon roll? It's complicated.
Well, Lloyd rolled an 8, a 6, and a 1, but his max score is an 8, so he got a total of 12. So
Ooh.
little smoother than yours, but still no raises or anything. So it's a little rough, whatever, but it's not too bad. Walt, you're been kind of in the back, kind of thinking about what the hell that was all about. Right?
Yeah.
Are you questioning any of the words that you heard? Are you kind of like, I'm not too sure about word X, Y, or Z?
I think I heard them all except perhaps burst.
Yes, that was first. I'll give you that one for free. If you're questioning any other ones, I will require a roll.
I think I heard them all besides that one.
Marshall, I'm just taking I'm going to sleep in the back.
Sure.
Would you like the
Strange
sound
one was-
effects?
The strange one was Coriolis. I just can't understand her. All right, but we're recording, Doctor.
And don't forget the last 2 words you heard was after the gambling, right?
Yes.
Mhm. So, and the word benefactor was in response to a question.
Yes. Who are you?
So that word could have been something else, obviously, depending on what your question was. And did you see the note that I sent you?
See, I have a Spanish at 1. So yes, and I have the last
Okay.
word that was said.
And okay, if you think you got the rest of the words, then excellente.
I do. I was paying attention and I was jotting them down.
And so you're just kind of riding, Doc.
I might
You're
even nod off.
you don't even nod off. You don't think?
Well, I mean, I'm not driving and I'm pretty tired. So, I mean, Lloyd seems a little safer bet to to nod off under. So,
Okay.
you know, maybe I nod off.
I feel like these comments are simply hurtful.
They are not hurtful comments.
They're mean spirited.
Well, we don't know what you're good at yet. So,
I guess
and you're supposed to
the
be a
counter
doctor.
question would be, well, are you wanting to stay awake, or do you just kind of zone out and possibly fall asleep?
I think at this point I'm okay with zoning out and falling asleep.
Okay. Um,
Draw 5 cards.
Now it'd be worse. It's like draw 2. I draw 5, you draw 2. Come on, pocket
time
rockets.
for Texas Hold'em.
Oh no.
We are going to play the game of war.
War.
Shall we play global thermonuclear war? Let's play global thermonuclear war.
How about a nice game of chess? Okay, so Carl and Vance, you feel like you know it's getting pretty late. It's like 10 o'clock, 10:15 at night. I don't want to say, does anybody have like a pocket watch or anything? Just
Yeah.
Okay, so you could actually look as opposed to guesstimating the time. But I think it's a Tuesday, I believe, so it might be Wednesday now. So you wouldn't be expecting a sort of a big hustle and bustle in Aetna, kind of regardless of the time at this point. It might be a little more nightlife on a weekend or whatever, but you know, the idea of weekends really back then wasn't the way we kind of consider weekends.
Right.
You pretty much worked every day except for Sunday, and even Sunday you didn't work during the morning. You know, so
It's when the sinners slept in and the devout went to church.
yeah. So you get you feel like you're approaching Aetna, and from your recollection of the map, you get the feeling that if you were to want to go to the mine, you'd want to be slowing down and looking for some sort of trail heading off to your right,
Start doing that.
or slowing down significantly, and potentially, if you think that your quarry has you know, crossed this way, and if they happen to also be heading to the mine for some reason, you'd have to probably start checking now.
That's actually what I'm going to do. Start if I think we're getting near the area, start looking for the trail to mine and see if I can't pick this guy back up.
Okay. Dan did not particularly write out like specific, like lots of trails coming off of Aetna. It was pretty much just marking the primary trail from Coldwater to Aetna. You know.
Yeah. Not going to rely on the map. I'm going to rely on my eyeballs.
Right. So you know, you slow down significantly.
Vance, if you could just keep back of me so you don't muck anything up for what I'm looking for.
No
Keep an
problem.
eye out.
Scan.
Sure. let's see here, Doctor and Walt, why don't you give me maybe how would we pronounce it?
Mean.
Ooh, that's
a
something I'm
mean
actually
roll.
good at.
Just difficulty 5.
A what roll?
A mean roll. It's your trait.
11 and a 10.
All right.
So I got 1 raise.
I've not heard that term in a long time.
Yeah, wonder what Lacey was thinking when he came up with mean.
I had a meaningful roll. I got an 8. I got a reroll and I got a 9.
Okay. The
And I got an
slowing
11.
of the cart of the wagon that you're in, you kind of vaguely notice it, kind of in your head, but you continue this somewhat pleasant snooze that you're both taking, so it doesn't abruptly wake you up. Let's see here, Christopher, why don't you give me a tracking roll? Toughness is going to be a 9. It's going to be ornery, because you're trying to pick up,
It's dark. I'm tired, and
you're picking up a whole new,
a 16 total.
wow.
He's the
Well,
man.
all right then.
No raise, but
You are fairly confident that at least on the little 100-yard stretch that you've looked, right? You don't see any cross trails going across the road you're on right now. So at least immediately you don't see evidence of the horseman. Vance, if you could give me a cognition roll, your favorite check.
Yeah.
Difficulty of just 5.
Woohoo. Gonna have 1 raise. 2 raises.
Wow. Okay.
16.
Nice. Even though it's pretty dark outside, you're kind of looking about, and Dan had kind of drawn, not expertly by any stretch of the imagination, but on the map he kind of drew certain little canyon patterns and such like that, and the moon and sky is sort of caught just right as you're kind of looking off to your right, and you go, oh, I think that's where Dan was largely indicating. So you have a direction to go if you were wanting to go straight to the mine, or I hate to say the term split the party, but you might want to do some advanced scouting into Aetna to see if all hell is breaking loose or the town is entirely dark, which well, at this time it wouldn't be terribly surprising that the town would be largely dark, but or however you want to take it, but you have an idea of where the mine is, and you definitely know where the town is. The town's like maybe a mile and a half in front of you.
All right. I'll pull once I see that Barnett is done examining the ground, I'll pull up closer to him and be like, that to me looks like the lead off to the mine. Do we want to check that, or do you want to head into town and I'll go take a gander?
actually, I'm probably more suited to take a gander.
I didn't mean to look for tracks, but I meant just take a gander.
Oh, yeah. I understand. This is kind of what I've done. What I'd say is, why don't you take the rest of the guys and check out the town? I think if anything's wrong there, they're going to need a gun hand.
All right.
Then I'll check out. Then I can slide up to the mine and see what's going on and meet you back in the town. Do I have a idea of how long the trail would be and how long it would take me to get back in the town?
Oh, like if you were to go up to the mine and then from the
Yeah.
mine go to the town?
Mm,
Well, at the worst, you'd be looking at about 3 miles if you had to basically go up to the mine, and then if there was no convenient passes, largely come back down off the mesas and then head down literally this trail. Or, they say at least, when you're looking at Dan's map, there's an indication of a fairly decent trail from Aetna straight to the mine. So there's probably a more direct way
okay.
to it. So the sheriff pulls up side and kind of goes, you know what we didn't do in that little pissant town? We didn't leave a note for the other posse.
Yeah.
Oh. Do you think they would have moved on to this next town?
And the way that they're doing, they're kind of skirting around, checking out homesteads.
Well, so they're going to see the sign that says "Do not enter by order of the sheriff." Then they're going to see a bunch of tracks and a wagon track leaving. So if they got any kind of tracking skill, they'll know which way we went. We're the only body of horses that have left that area.
Do you want to send one of your boys back to leave a note? Or do you think
Yeah,
it's too late?
One wearing
Maybe
a
we ought
red
to
shirt,
send-
Lloyd.
Yeah, maybe we ought to send one of the fellows back. Perhaps if nothing else, they can lead, if they run into them, they can make them hightail it back. Might speed up the efforts.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Which one of your boys do you want to send?
Lloyd, why don't you get that fresh horse that we had? Head on back to freaking work and try to intercept that other posse. Get them hightailing down here. We're kind of all eggs in one basket at this point, searching the guy, but seems that this would be the next town. This critter seems to be preferring going into towns for whatever reason. So Lloyd hops off his horse, exchanges the tie off with the fresh horse, and does a little hoop and holler and 180 and heads off in the other direction.
No, he's got all the parts that he needs to put together a body. Why would he ride into the next town and do the same thing?
Mean son of a bitch.
Well, he didn't take
Maybe
any
he wants
parts
two bodies.
while we were in Coldwater.
No, he didn't do that, but he selected all the bodies in that other town to literally have the parts to make another body, as it were. I just don't see him taking it into the next town to do something. If anything, I see him taking it somewhere to do something with those parts.
Down in the mine, maybe?
Well, there's always a possibility. Sheriff, on this map, on the maps around here, there's a mine off of that way. I think that mine is it a ghost rock mine or is it a gold mine? I don't know.
I can't remember. Carl?
I can't
Christopher?
remember himself.
What?
Actually, I don't.
Silver.
No, I think it is.
In all honesty, I think he just said a mine. I don't think he ever described what was there.
Right. I'm
Yeah.
not. That's not what I'm trying to. Not when I'm saying that. I'm not actually out of character. I'm
Sure.
not
Got
saying
it.
what it is. I'm just approaching the sheriff in this direction.
If you wanted to surmise what the mine could have possibly have been, you recall Swearinger did mention that it was the Hearst boys. Hearst was big into gold. That's what he made his money off of the down in Santa Fe. He made a lot of money there. And then he, once one mine was played out, he'd just go in with all of his money and buy up other interests wherever he thought he smelled the gold. But well,
Barnett, why don't you go check out that
Yeah.
that mine, and the sheriff and I will hit the outskirts of the town and take a look to see if there's anything amiss.
I sure feel a little better, Chris. I mean, you've taken this far. Going out alone just doesn't seem like a right smart thing to do. Why don't you take one of your boys with you? Gustav, would you be up to staying with Chris?
Sure.
I don't think the doctor and Walt probably are particularly suited for that action.
Hey, if it involves talking, I'm your man.
Well, then we'll probably need you in the town.
Once they catch up.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm a fine
I'm-
shot. I'm just
I'm
not
willing to
very
have the company. Follow my lead, Gustav, and we can be off.
All right then.
All right, so you guys start heading, leaving the trail, the hardpack trail that heads into the Aetna. And you're not actually following a trail. You just have you've got a
A
endpoint.
reckoning.
Yeah, you got a reckoning direction, and you start kind of both of y'all start eyeballing the proverbial lay of the land to try to avoid any tough climbs,
Yeah.
anything that might be too terribly difficult for the horses, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
So you start heading off that way. As you start heading off to your right, which would be behind the wagon and all, you can see Lloyd still not riding the horse terribly hard because it's at night and he doesn't have light, but it's a clear sky and there's some moon, so you get that kind of weird ghostly blue light. So he's heading off that direction. So Vance and Walt and Gabriel, I guess Walt and Gabriel, y'all are asleep. So Vance, you got kind of you
That's
got the
Dr.
direct
Trout. Thank
controller of the cohort heading into Aetna. So it's your call insofar as how much or how little noise. The wagon that you're riding does
Does make a bit of noise. They should switch to horses before we get to the outskirts.
yeah, and it does say Cranston's Dry Goods on it. So
Let's go ahead and pull that cart off to the side here. And I suggest everyone get on their horses so it's a little bit quieter.
all right, so you
And we'll
start
head
out-
into the outskirts of town, and then we can approach on foot.
Okay, I mean it's still a mile and a half off, so it's probably at a walk trot. You're probably still looking at 25 minutes somewhere in there.
The main reason, the other good thing for everyone to bring their own horse is that if people have to hightail it, no one has to miss the wagon.
Yeah,
But,
well,
You've all got your own horse.
right.
and have a horse will travel.
Okay, so I guess you wake up Walt and Gabriel.
Hey, ladies, wake up. Time to get on your horses.
All right.
And
Kind of ask where we are. I guess we're
Doctor,
getting
you
close
wake
to
up no
town.
problem. And Walt, you also wake up no problem.
He's well rested. He's more rested than any
in
of us.
your face. I woke up.
Yes.
We're about a
Good
mile and a
news is you
half
woke up.
outside of
Bad
town.
news is you're not where you were when you left.
It's
We're
right.
a mile and a half outside of town. We need you to be on your horses.
Right.
That way, if we all have to skin, we don't have to worry about anybody else trying to hobble into a cart.
Do we want the sheriff's other man to stay with the wagon, kind of bring it up slowly rather than abandon it?
Wagon's not that important. It's not even our wagon.
No, I mean not
Wagon
hiding it,
moves-
but just bring it.
I don't even know why we took it.
A wagon moves slower than a horse.
It's like a mobile home. You see, you can
It
take
is
a
kinda like
nap
a mobile
while
home.
you're
For
riding.
those of us who don't ride very well, though I've gotten a little better, I'm now mostly not a danger to myself and others.
How's that rash going, by the way? You need more ointment?
How's that crotch rot?
Stay on the ashtray.
It
Saddle
is
sores.
one of those things that, I mean, technically, if you've got a team of horses that is trained to pull a wagon, the speed that you can get out of you
Out of
know,
a wagon is pretty good, yeah.
it's actually is quite astonishing.
But this
Especially if
was
you're on a
just
good
a
road.
wagon.
Right. This isn't like a cross-country stagecoach
Yeah.
that has, super springs and stuff like that. This is more sort of the, heading out west, clunk, clunk, clunk. And, the suspension was pretty much strictly on the,
Keeping the wheels on their axles.
the driver position, right? That's sprung. And the rest is largely, every jolt was kind of, so it was just meant to haul around dry goods. It wasn't meant to go cross country too hard or too fast. But okay, fair enough. If you guys want to, just pull the wagon off to the side, and it's easier to get whatever forgiveness than it is to get permission insofar as use of the wagon. So.
Pretty sure that
We have
guy's
the
dead
sheriff
anyway.
with us, so if the
Yeah,
sheriff's
you got a
okay with it,
sheriff.
I'm okay with it.
Until the sheriff gets shot.
Yeah, then
As long
Well,
as
that's bad.
they don't shoot the deputy, we'll be okay.
Sheriff
Yeah.
pulls out a little piece of paper and writes, "I gave permission for this group to use Mr. Crampton's wagon." He gives it a sign, folds it up, hands it to the doctor, or whatever. Here you go. Now we don't have to worry about that.
You can bring the wagon if you want to, Laura. Well,
So,
I just all right.
so do you want to do the wagon? It is a bit.
So,
more
I mean,
noisy.
the upside of keeping the wagon is
Loading up the
upside of keeping
bodies.
the wagon is right. If there's somebody gets injured, we're a lot better off than throwing them on top of a horse.
Also, if
So-
somebody gets significantly injured,
Know what I just said?
oh,
That's
thought you
just
said-
what he just said. That.
I thought you said sick.
Did I stutter? That's fine. Yeah, so right. I think having a wagon's not a bad idea, but we could have the deputy take it in.
So
Yeah,
who's got a pot? Gustav, do you have a watch? You have a watch?
I believe I do. Let's see
Gonna
now.
watch.
Yes, I have a gold watch.
All right. Well, what time is it?
You want to ask Vance because Gustav and Chris are
yeah.
now
Are
about
not
a quarter
with you.
mile away.
But yes, I have a
Oh.
pocket watch.
Well, I don't. What time is it?
It's getting close to 10:30 at night.
And this is a weeknight, so
Yeah.
most good people are long went to bed.
Yeah.
And how big is Aetna? You said, right?
Certainly larger than Wirt.
That's not saying much.
No, it's definitely not saying much. It's big
That's a
enough to
low
have.
bar.
It's big enough to have a name on a map.
Well, so did Wirt.
Well, not really.
It had a post office.
Dan didn't bother putting it down, but it did have a post office. You're right. Vance, why don't you give me? You got a pretty good immediate area no roll, I believe.
Actually, I do too. Come to think of it,
Yeah, I know some people not so much, but
I'll give it a shot.
That's
I
the,
won't.
yeah,
I'm
country.
still a little shaken from the whole experience and the jarring ride in the
A
wagon.
success.
you got a success. Okay, you recall that maybe a little smaller than half of Coldwater. So yeah, 15 buildings, maybe 20, some outlying immediate little homes. It doesn't have a full train stop, but it does have a spur. So a train could be diverted there if necessary. if you recall, the spur was set up by a mining concern. And
Makes sense. And considering the mine is nearby, in case they needed to move anything, they could make arrangements for a train to come in.
yeah, but the company that was formed to create the spur went out of business. So how good is the tracks at this point?
They might be spurious.
You know, it'd probably have to be inspected before running a train down particularly fast, at least. But you know, in a pinch. So you heading towards Aetna. Let's say, so did you decide to take the wagon or not?
Wagon's coming along, but it's going to stay on the outskirts of town.
Okay, all right. And I say about 20 minutes later, you kind of crest a little bit of a hill, and you can see Aetna. It is somewhat. It's not quite as bleak around Aetna. There's a fair amount of trees and such, which is kind of nice to see. Coldwater's been a little bit more stripped of immediate deciduous trees and such. It looks like it was kind of planned that way, because not too much further out you start seeing farm fields and such. So they try to keep it nice. You don't see any streams or particularly large rivers or anything like that going by. Looking at the town, not that you didn't expect this. You expected the town to be largely dark, and it is largely dark. Right. Do you see some wisps of smoke out of a couple of the chimneys? Yes, you did. And you notice, at least in 2 of the buildings, you can see some flicker of either fire or candlelight or something along those lines. So there appears to be at least some habitation and activity going on in the town.
Places where there are light, I will use the scope
Okay.
to look through the scope, because I'm just going to, look around those areas to see if I see any kind of movement
Okay.
that signifies living beings.
So go ahead and give me a cognition.
Cognition
Let's
or
go because of darkness, and you're starting to feel a little fatigued at this point. So we're going to go with the difficulty of 7.
Is this a cognition or a search?
Search would be literally like I'm going through this desk.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It's the scan equivalent.
A success.
A success. Okay. It takes you a couple seconds, but you see somebody come out of one of the buildings. They're stumbling a little bit.
Does he have all his limbs?
He has all of his limbs and everything. You see him stumble a little bit, sort of hug a post that leads to holding up the balcony of this particular building, rights himself and kind of continues on, kind of disappears into the darkness at that point, out of the light. You get the feeling it's, there's probably still in some sort.
Town looks normal.
Let's see. Continuing, your other kind of pan and such, the other building that has light from it, once again, your eyes kind of adjusting now to not only just your sight, but the contrasts in light and such. You feel a little odd on this one. The light's coming from a church.
What day of the week is this?
It's Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Pasture's going a little bit long. All right. I see some movement down the town, so at least there are some living people. Let's head down, but keep an eye out for anything that looks peculiar. And I guess we'll try to move down, not to like the center of the town, but to one of the sides, and then kind of move the way in.
Okay, it is a single thoroughfare style town. It's sort of, you know, entry, exit, one road
Okay.
kind of thing.
Where is the church in relation to the edge of town? Because normally that's on one edge of the town.
Yeah, it certainly is. It is furthest. That's why it took you a little while to kind of zone in on it. So it is sort of capping the town furthest away. So you got sort of buildings, and then sort of, you know, further on is the church.
We go around, Sheriff, do you want to go around the town to come over by the church? Or do we just head down this way leading to the church?
Might be a little rough on the wagon, but ground doesn't look too bad.
The only reason I ask is because if this man that we're tracking is, or feels that he is unnatural, maybe he would be adverse to a holy side.
I'd certainly believe that. Sounds good to me.
Maybe we can stop by, pick up some holy water.
So it's up from a mile away.
Yeah.
Some holy water would be handy.
Or perhaps a holy hand grenade.
That's right. Is the church named Antioch?
Remember, it's only to the count of 3. 4 is right out.
So while you start circling the town, Gustav and Christopher, you're heading up towards, I won't quite call it a mesa, but it's rocky and hilly and stuff like that. Christopher, are you making a beeline, or are you still kind of trying to pick up a track, or?
Trying to pick up a track, see what activity's going through, if I can find what I'm looking for. But I'm looking for any activity moving up and down where the way we're going.
Okay.
Just to get a sense of what's moving, if anything is moving through here.
Coyotes.
So let's see here. Hold on.
Oh, bloody monkeys.
So Gustav, give me a cognition roll at a toughness level of 9.
Use those dice, baby.
All right. Breaking them in. Let me make sure I use the right
Breaking
one. Let's see, D12. Okay.
You can do it.
Ignition. 2D12.
So you want to roll high.
I got an 11, so that's 1 success.
Yep.
That is a
Sweet.
success. Meanwhile, Christopher, you're doing some tracking. So why don't you do your tracking roll, toughness level of 7? Yeah.
1 success.
1 success. All right. So you both largely notice, you both basically pick up on your horseman track. You would gather, again, Dan's map was not exactly, you know, geo-coordinated perfect or anything.
Damn you, Dan.
But you guess you're maybe, if you stop tracking, because now you picked up the tracking, it does appear to be heading to the mine. 15-minute walk, 10-minute jog.
Pull up next to Gustav and quietly. We tie the horses off here. We go on foot. We go quietly.
Right?
All right.
AKA, I'm going to be sneaky.
Sure. Yeah. I think a sneak roll from both of y'all would be a good idea. You're in the dark, which helps with the sneak. You're both fatigued, which doesn't help with the sneak. So I think those two probably nicely counterbalance. So the difficulty of 5, please roll your sneaks. Yeah, Gustav and Christopher.
Jeez. I am one with the woods. 25.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Vance, Gustav, how'd you do with that?
What was the difficulty?
5.
All right. One success.
One success. Okay. You kind of, get off the horse. You find a sort of scraggly tree that perhaps you can tie the two horses off. By the time you're done tying the horse off and such, you look, you don't even see Christopher. He has become at one with the night. It actually wigs you out a little bit. And Chris, you recognize that Gustav's having trouble seeing you. And I assume you kind of,
Yeah.
It's because his cloaking device.
that's right. And
So you can't fire photon torpedoes when he's in that mode. So at least there's that.
I thought I gave everybody a lantern.
well, everybody does. How many lanterns did you pick up?
Didn't we find a whole case?
I think we brought a case. We got enough for everybody for sure.
Okay, well, that might come into things. So, Gustav and Chris, do you have lanterns?
I
just
don't
like-
want anything disrupted. One, pointing out my location. Two, disrupting night sight.
I have one, but it's not lit because
Not
we're sneaking.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
But it's with
Uh,
me.
Put the
Okay.
red lens in.
Right.
It's hanging on his belt. Clunk, clunk, clunk.
So you all get off the horses tied off. You got what you feel like you need. I believe one of you two have some sort of binoculars.
I have the scope on my rifle,
The
which
scope.
I have with me.
Okay. And you start now hoping, let's say at a jog, 10 minutes. It's really not that bad at this point. Since you're stealthing it, it's probably going to take a bit longer as
Yeah.
you're kind of, being very wary of the rocks and scrub and such on the ground. But you start picking your way up there. The rest of the party, you start skirting around the town, and again, there's a fair amount of trees. So you found that you actually kind of have to take a farmer's lane or two to bypass the primary thoroughfare, which slows you up a little bit just because of just extra distance. It's not that you're having to ride real super duper slow or anything. It's just you've increased just the pure, mileage that you need to cover. And when I say miles, I don't mean miles and miles. I just mean that it's a bit more distance. Or you can weave your way through the trees. That would require some rolls. So up to you. Well,
Feeling
And
lucky.
I don't know if we need to be, I mean, what are we trying to hide from? Looks like a regular town.
yeah, it's a
I mean, did we all arrive together or I'm sorry,
Yeah, the cart. 3 of us were originally.
right, but I mean, did the other guys, do we even know where they are?
you know that they're heading up to the mine.
And we all went up together and then they split off, or were they scouting ahead the whole night?
Well, let's say Christopher and Gustav kind of split off while you guys were heading in, like a mile away from the town.
Okay, all right. So I just making sure. So were there any tracks? The tracks were leading to the mine, right? They weren't leading to the town. We lost the
You
track.
all-
We
you
took
all
the
I haven't
lost-
said anything about that.
Right. So you all are unaware. The group that has the cart or wagon are unaware of any additional tracks.
So I mean, I guess the purpose of us going into town is to what? Look for signs of murders, or look for signs of a guy on a black horse. Now, I'm sorry, I'm thinking back to the previous episode, or to the first incident. Didn't he climb down and jump on his horse and ride off? So if he's off murdering somebody, maybe we'll see a black horse standing next to somebody's building. So my suggestion would be we go around town, not trying to be particularly sneaky, but just to go and find to see if there's any black horses. I don't even know if it was a tied up or not, anyway. So any black horses that might tell us as riders here in the town,
Right.
or anybody screaming in the night, somebody got murdered.
Right. Vance had forwarded the supposition that your foe seems to be, at least on some level, supernatural. And
Yeah.
a not bad idea might be to approach the church, which does have some candlelight and at least some activity at the church. So that might be sort of a good sort of entry point for the town in case the town has went tits up.
They would certainly know about any recent burials on the church grounds,
Yeah,
Well, it's also 10:30 at night and everyone's asleep, except
but
for,
there was light at the church.
yeah.
yeah, okay.
Which
we
is
don't know-
unusual.
Which we
He's
don't
working
know.
on his sermon.
He's
Oh.
nodding his socks in the drawer.
So there's no problem. I mean,
Nobody
so-
there.
So we'll head to the church. I guess let's just be cognizant and look for any sort of horses sitting next to houses where people are currently being murdered.
Okay, well, you started on this sort of circuitous way to get to the town. At this point, you're kind of 50-50, so you might as well finish the tracking to
Sure.
come on the church side.
No, that's fine. Let's go that way.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, I don't. Yeah, just I was trying to get some clarity on what we were trying to do here.
Right up.
Thanks.
So about, again, 15 minutes later, you're pretty much coming up to the church. You see that this church, you don't see a big cemetery anywhere. Somewhat rare for this area, you actually see a graveyard. The difference being a graveyard is attached to a church versus a cemetery, which is its own sort of separate thing. So take that as a note as much as you wish. As I say, not a lot of sounds coming from the town one way or the other. But you largely pull up to the church. Say candles are still definitely, you can tell there's lighting coming from the church. And now that you're down here again, eyes adjust a little bit and you kind of look down the thoroughfare. You can see what you're pretty sure at this point there's a saloon and it's still open. And there's one or two other buildings that have some light, perhaps as you were coming around back in like a back room, that sort of thing. And there were a few surrounding homes. Not a lot of light coming from those homes. Again, most people are asleep. But one or two of the chimneys still have some sort of smoke wafting out of their tops.
From being on horseback, can we see into the windows of the church?
Yeah, you could look into the sort of the main floor without too much difficulty. And you do see that there are candles lit in the sort of the main kind of clear worshiping area. It's not blocked by curtains or heavy curtains or anything along those lines. And matter of fact, as you ride by, you see a man, 50s, a step out from a side room, still wearing his priestly garb, not full Sunday, but just black shirt, white collar, and he's got a small stack of books in his hands, and he's starting to walk down the central aisle, and looks like he's literally putting some books into the pews stands.
Okay. So nothing that looks too unusual, no practitioners or anything else like that. Okay.
Carl and Gustav, Christopher and Gustav, you're still sort of stealthing, blah blah blah, and you're coming up, and you kind of crest one little sort of little gully and kind of come up, onto a fairly flat area that's maybe like 100 feet of sort of flat, and then there's sort of yet more sort of a wall. You definitely notice there's a hill, but it's been dug into, and near the hill's siding you can see some tailings and rubble, but you also see a wisp of smoke coming from the clear flat plain area. There's just a little bit of smoke coming from the ground, maybe a campfire that's been recently doused, but it's got an odor that reminds you of well, it's a smell of an arbiter, of a burning carcasses of some sort.
Carnal house.
Yeah.
So signal for Gustav to stop. I'll unlimber my rifle with the scope and start panning around that area to see what I can see.
Okay.
Hopefully the moon gives me some sort of light.
So you pull out your scope and you start slowly scanning about with it. It is not a campfire. Takes you a moment to kind of noodle it out, but it looks like that there's a pit of some sort, and not an insignificant one. Maybe 25 feet in diameter, maybe a little bit bigger. And from that pit, there's this heavy, unpleasant smelling smoke drifting from it. As you kind of continue to look around, you can see there's definitely a mine facing going into the hill. You see that there were what you surmise were wood boarding that probably covered the mine entrance, sort of the proverbial keep out, whatever, right? And it looks like a lot of that fairly heavy timber has been pulled down, re-exposing the mine.
So in summary, mine was abandoned. Something's gotten into it recently.
Yes.
That's what I said. The mine.
So I'm gonna whisper to Christopher, say, either they're burning garbage over there, or burning bodies.
Yeah, that's it. That ain't garbage. Any other outbuildings?
No. The only thing that strikes you is now that you surmise that there's a pit, and what you would probably take as being a fairly deep one. You don't see any indication of rubble or whatever that would have been ejected from the pit.
What do you think, Christopher? Should we move in for a closer look? You got the scope. I can't see anything.
Yeah, you can smell the off-putting odor of whatever has been burnt there, but outside of that, you can see a little bit of smoke obscuring the moon every now and then, and the smoke and light wind kind of covers the right spot. But other than that, and you can tell there's a hill that's been dug into somewhat, and you can see sort of the rubble and tailings and such, and you can even slightly pick out, because you've seen it enough, you can see an end stopper for a mine train track, or railings.
Yeah, let's see. Keep your eyes open. Let's head down, see what we can see.
Curious to
Start-
see what kind of footprints we might find down there. What activity's been going on.
That's what I'm going for. So we'll start sneaking down towards the pit again. Stealthy.
Okay. Since you stopped and kind of did another action, I would require a new stealth roll, please.
For both of us,
Yes,
For that
Oh,
big
sorry.
twig is
Sneak
waiting
roll.
for you.
sneak roll.
Somebody left a clown horn in the prairie.
Honk, honk, honk. Only an 18 this time.
Ooh. That's a 1.
a
You had
one.
one dice, you rolled a 1.
You may want to spend a chip or two.
Yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise I think I just tripped and like fired my rifle.
No, it's
Yeah,
probably not that bad. But you
Oh,
could
no,
it
probably
would
find
be
the
a-
clown horn.
rolled 100% ones, so it would be a catastrophic failure.
Yeah.
So my sneak is only 1,
Mhm.
and my nimbleness is 3d8. So since it's a 1, that's all I only roll 1d8, right?
Correct.
Okay, so that was right. All right. So I got 4 white chips, a red, and a blue. What can I burn here to make this better?
I'd go with at least a. Was it red? Get you.
Well,
to,
I mean, if you throw in a red, all you're doing is you're adding on. Basically, you get a +1, which isn't so hot. I'd probably
what's
throw
a
in.
+1 to the existing roll, or is it going to re-roll with the plus?
It's a
No,
bonus
it's what-
die, and you add that to your highest current die.
Right, so his current highest die is a 1, so that doesn't
Okay.
really help out in this situation a whole lot. I'd probably consider, chucking in maybe 2 chips of 2 white chips,
2 whites to get 2 extra rolls.
some extra rolls, and you can always add in a red to bump the highest of that now 3 rolls as opposed to that singular one roll.
All right. Well, do I have to make that decision of what I'm going to spend on it all at once? I can't do it
As
incrementally.
far as the white chips go, yeah, you can't go add one. If
Okay, so I'm going to burn 2 whites of my
Okay.
4, and then let's see what I get. There we go. Explosion.
Yeah.
That's a 9. 3. Okay, I'll stick with the 9. That's good.
You're about
Okay,
to
that's
step
good.
on that big dry stick over the little foot-long gulch, and you're
That
like,
that, that triggers the landslide. A giant boulder rolls into the pit.
so, maybe you finally see Christopher. He kind of appears out of the darkness, but you're still both very very quiet, and you kind of get into the clearing a little bit where this pit, or at least divot into the ground, is. And yeah, you definitely smell there's some sort of burning carcass of some sort in there. You're not sure what it is, but definitely.
Was it a large carcass, small carcass, medium
Can't
sized?
see it right now. You're just smelling it.
Oh, got it.
And as you kind of approach the pit, you're definitely seeing, it's like 25 feet wide. So, and it seems to go down at a relatively sharp angle. So it's a significant cut into the ground. Again, you're a little thrown off a little bit. It's like, why isn't there like
Rubble.
lots of rubble kind of
Yeah.
nearby? But, do one of you approach the edge of the pit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, you approach the edge of the pit and you kind of look down. Let's see, it's probably 10:45, close to 11 o'clock. So you got a fair amount of relatively direct moonlight coming down now. And in there, you see multiple bodies,
Is it actively burning or is it just kind of smoldering?
smoldering. You also see about 20 of those grub-like creatures that came out of the whore,
Well, that's not good.
that are also smoldering.
I had a reason with him.
So you see carcassi of the same type of critter that came out of the
Oh,
the
or-
orc from Coldwater.
Well, I'm going to whisper to Christopher. I don't know how much further we want to go on our own. We should go back
Yep.
and look for the others.
I think we've done what we can tonight. Doesn't look like anything's here right now. Let's get back into town.
I'm
Sorry.
sure as hell not going in
Start-
that mine tonight.
This
No.
point, you hear from
Where's it coming from?
the cave entrance.
We'll look over at the cave entrance, rifle at the ready.
Okay. You see the ass end of a very, very, very black, relatively large horse. Basically, see the tail and butt going further into the mine.
This could be our guy, Christopher. What do you think?
You also hear way down in sort of echoey, right? What sounds like both of y'all give me a cognition roll on this one. Or is there a hold on? But it's audio, so throw in your big ears.
Okay, that's a +2.
Ears.
Okay.
Same thing for you, Gershon.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'm just checking to make sure I don't have any of those same. Engine.
So different.
21.
Oh, okay. Gershon?
Okay, cognition. All right, one success.
One success. Okay, you both determined that what you're hearing, literally, it sounds, it sounds like somebody's making something. Hammer to nail. Thunk, 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 thunk. Not particularly creepy or whatever. It's just, wouldn't quite have expected that noise. Somebody's doing a little bit of carpentry.
It's late. We're both tired and you're on exhausted,
Do we want to let him go? This could be our
Like it-
one chance.
but we've seen what this can do. But I'm with you. Head towards the cave.
Okay, we'll put a little pause on that.
I'm being attacked by a hellhound.
Um,
What?
Walt, Doctor,
That's
Vance,
Ah! Hey. Hey.
you clear by the or you're coming by the church.
Hey, excuse you. Excuse you.
Vance mentions, I see the priest is putting away some prayer books.
What are you doing?
What would you like to do in town?
Also, point out, it looks like there are 3 recent graves too.
Yeah. Now that Vance points it out, you can see in the graveyard 3 quite fresh graves in the graveyard.
do they have headstones or crosses or anything?
No stone headstones, although most of the graves in the graveyard do have stone or like wood with like brass nails hammered in to signify who's there. So you could surmise that these were unexpected, and either whatever the headstones are still being made, or you don't get the impression that this would be a pauper's burial area.
Is the sheriff with us or is he
No,
someone?
he's with us.
Yeah, he's with y'all.
So why don't we go up and talk to the preacher and say if there's been any violence in the town in the last few days or something like that.
Have there any deaths to
yeah.
sharp instruments?
Yeah, let me take the
I mean,
lead
and
on
that's
this,
kind of all we
guys.
need from the priest. I mean, yeah, besides like, okay, or the preacher. It's like, all right, well, anything untoward happening, any Any violence? Anybody killed unexplainedly?
Yeah, let's let the sheriff talk first, and then you can start in with your line of questioning there, Walt.
All
And
right.
just,
That
sheriff,
way he gives us propriety to,
Authority by proxy is the word
yeah.
we're looking for.
yeah.
Fair enough.
Be
Sheriff,
good cop, bad cop. I'll be the bad cop.
Sheriff hops off a horse and
I'll follow him
goes
behind.
up the couple steps to the double doors of the church and gives the door a twist. It is unlocked. Door opens up. Sheriff, excuse me, Padre. Yeah, yes. I'm sorry. I don't know you. Are you new in town? From
Does he
town
actually wear it?
next-
Does he actually have a? Sorry. Does he actually have like a big old star on? I mean, like an a
Oh,
very
yeah.
visible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that literally the mark of his office. He goes, Padre, we're from Coldwater, and got a couple strange kind of questions for you. Matter of fact, let me introduce you. Padre is a Whitman. Padre Whitman. This is Walter Larrabee, and we're pursuing some wanted personages. And Walter, why don't you take it from here?
All right. We'll do sheriff. First of all, couldn't help but notice you had a couple fresh graves outside. Take off my hat and
Yes, yes,
can
most,
you? I hope 3 at one time seems like some kind of tragedy. What could you possibly tell us what happened?
yes. It's a strange story, actually. Not too long ago, a miners' camp was set up about south about half a mile. Bunch of Irishmen, and fair amount of activity. Town was pleased to have new source of income and livelihood. A few short days ago, the traffic from the mining camp stopped coming into town. Well, we don't have a sheriff here, but a few of the leading citizens headed out to the town to try to determine if they've gone up left. The camp was fairly substantial. From what I heard, about 15 tents. Some of them I'm sure were supplied. Dug a privy or two. Obviously the intention was to be for quite a while. One does not dig a privy if you're just going to be there overnight.
That's true.
Only 3 or 4 souls were found in the town. They were brought back here, already passed on. Strange pallor to their faces. Discoloring. Sallowness in the eye. I've seen my share of death. I've put my share of the dead into the ground. Now, one could say perhaps a rattler got one. Poison of some sort. 3, that's strange. And where did all the rest of the folk go? Don't know.
I know.
So, through a bit of a collection, we decided to go ahead and bury them in our graveyard. We don't know the names. We hope to find out, though. Perhaps when the others come back from wherever they went to.
Oh, that is a tragedy. So you said besides having this strange pallor look on their face, was there any obvious? You mentioned poison, so I'm guessing there weren't any obvious wounds, no gunshots or anything like that. They just
No, the only advice that we could follow was gathered up all the foods that we saw there, and they were burnt just in case there was sickness in the food. It's our best guess.
Burn the whiskey too.
and nobody who's handled who brought the bodies over, everybody's okay. Nobody's gotten sick since. So we
Yeah.
actually have we actually have a physician with our group.
Well, we buried them on Saturday. Had a bigger following come out to church on Sunday, I'll admit. I've been largely praying. So I really haven't went into town, but I'm sure some of the folks would have came to me if anybody else had gotten ill, in case we need to create a pestilence tent or anything along those lines.
So preacher, I'm Dr. Dr. Trout from are we Deepwater, Sweetwater?
Cold water.
Cold water. He's very tired. He hasn't slept.
Very tough.
A long night.
Actually, we
So
probably do look.
can you
dead on
tell
our
us?
feet.
Can you tell us who led the group that went out to the mining camp? We'd like to speak with him.
Yeah,
You're
that
doing
was
a
going to be
great
my
job
next
role playing a
question.
tired person, by the way.
Let's see.
I bought it. I personally felt that you were tired.
I
Patrick
feel like he gets a white chip.
Now, can you tell that I'm irritated?
Patrick Curtis led up that group.
And where might we find him?
Patrick's in charge of, well, let's just say he kind of follows a role of what we quaintly call mayor. But he also runs a tackle supply. And he and, let's see, the hotel runner, don't recall his name off the top of my head. I don't have much of an opportunity to go into hotels or in saloons, to be honest. But Mr. Curtis.
Is the hotel the same place as the saloon?
No, we have a separate saloon and a separate hotel.
All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead and carry on. Well,
Thank you, Doctor. So this has been a couple days. First of all, I'd like to stop and I'd like to give an offering to help defray the costs of the burial as a good Christian man. I hope that would be okay. If you have a
Of course, I'd be happy to make sure that any funds you decide to donate will go to the appropriate.
excellent. All right, so I'll is there an offering box at the front of the church as there often is?
There is, yes.
Okay, I'll be sure to add some on the way out. So is there anything unusual or about the story? Have you heard any? Was anyone telling tales? I mean, you didn't go, so this is all what you were told, correct?
Well, if anything was told to me by the confessional, I would
Oh,
be
of course.
required not to reveal that. Although I can say honestly that outside the peculiarity of, well, the condition of the three bodies and the fact that the rest of the camp would leave for an extended period of time, but leave most of their belongings in the camp. Nobody does that.
That is odd. Wouldn't you agree, Sheriff?
Well, sure. Then again, they might have been laid away by road agents.
Claim jumpers.
Claim
Did
jumpers?
anyone go into the mine? Do you happen to know, Padre?
It'd have to be a horse's ass.
They're certainly miners. You can tell that just from, well, their general decorum. Now, which mine they were working, nobody was telling anybody. Certainly the few deed holders that we have in town certainly haven't been saying anything about reopening or hiring additional hands. Most of the silver out here has been tapped. We got a little bit of there's a salt mine or two going on. That gets all shipped out. But we're largely farming at this point.
Well, maybe it's time, Sheriff, that we talk with Patrick Hurt. What was his name again? Who's your effectively your person you recommended talking to?
Patrick Curtis.
Patrick Curtis. And you said he's fancies himself as kind of the mayor.
We never had an election on it, but everybody just kind of accepts it.
Is he a steady man?
He's a good man.
Well, thank you, Padre. Sheriff, if there's anything else you think I'm missing, we're all very tired. We've had a pretty long ride, and it's very late. So you said you have both a saloon and a hotel. So who's the proprietor of the hotel? Because we'll probably need to get some rooms.
Well, hotel is just a few buildings down. I don't recall his name. Who runs it?
Very good. Well, thank you again, Padre. Have a good evening. I'll tip my hat.
Have a good evening, Dallas.
All right, I will make sure I very visibly put $2 in the offering box. It's the one with the string, so.
Right, sure.
I am a muckraker. I am a poor muckraker. After no, of course I'll donate it. It's very late talking to somebody at this hour. I mean, at the very least, we could talk to people in the hotel. So I'd recommend we go to the hotel, unless somebody has a better idea.
Yeah, the tavern would probably be a good place to talk to anybody.
I'd say the tavern.
All right.
Saloon.
Yeah, let's go to the saloon. It is a weeknight and it is a pretty slow town, so I doubt it's going to be really hopping per se. But yeah, maybe we'll find Patrick Curtis.
Or maybe we'll find someone that went with them.
Sure.
All right, we will ride at a tropping clip to get over there, since it seems like the town is safe.
Right. Okay. You head down to the saloon. You don't hear the classic piano playing the entertainer or anything like that.
Dun, 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 dun.
I am the entertainer, the idol of my.
But it does still have the classic double sweep doors. And you head in, and it's clearly very quiet. You see one table where a couple guys, I don't want to say half-heartedly, but it looks like they're throwing down some poker, but it's not a big stack game. It looks like a more casual game than anything else. You see a bartender. Some of the candles and torches and such have been snuffed out, but there's still a couple hurricane lanterns kind of going. You can kind of tell they're at the wind down part. Typically on some saloons in bigger towns, they never close, right? Yep. There's always kind of somebody there. You get the feeling that this place, there's probably somebody always at least sleeping by the bar, but you definitely get the sensation that as far as patronage and such like that, quiety time is upon this town, no doubt. But you see the bartender kind of pick up his head as he hears the doors kind of.
It's a crowd come in.
Multiple people coming in, and he kind of this starts kind of wiping down the bar.
All right. Before we all walk up to the bar, Sheriff, Doctor, I have an idea. Depending how we want to play this, you could play the medical card and say you've talked to the Padre as a medical officer. you want everybody who handled the bodies to report to you. Between the sheriff and you being a doctor, that should do it. Or we could try to be more casual, but it might be quick if you basically say,
Yeah, so
this
we'll
is a
have this
public health
conversation.
emergency. Everybody who was there needs to be here.
We'll have this conversation on our way over.
Yeah,
Things-
that's what I'm.
couple things strike me as odd. Why would that Black Rider guy? Well, so I'm sorry, we don't know that he's back.
You wouldn't know that yet.
So yeah, okay. So
So
yeah,
as far as we know, everything seems pretty normal, except that we know trouble was heading in this direction, or at
we know
least
that
we're
there's
pretty sure it was.
we know that there's unsanctioned some sort of inappropriate mine activity at the mine in this town, which may
three
be
dead people.
which may be something people would lie about or be very dishonest about or become violent if we found out or mentioned it.
But probably not a Catholic priest.
But no. Okay, there's that. That's the one element we know about this town. Otherwise, this just happens to be the town that the Black Rider was heading towards.
Except the odds of having 3 people found dead without any markings and strange looks, and they left all their things, is already screaming suspicious.
Yeah, something.
And if you had 3 people who died without any wounds,
sounds like the mine. I mean, so it doesn't seem like, unless we see a black horse and hear someone screaming and someone's been murdered, this town doesn't look like it's, besides a convenient place to sleep, it doesn't seem like where we're going to find our answers. But yeah, you're right. We need to talk. I agree about talking to the people that went to the mine to talk to them. Certainly the hotel operator and the tackle supply guy, the leaders of that group, whether we need to talk to everybody involved. The other question I have is, Sheriff, is this part of your jurisdiction? Is it part of the county that you're sheriff for?
No, that would be, he mentions the county sheriff. I forget his name right off the top of my head.
We've crossed county lines on our trip.
Yeah, how far away are we
he's the town sheriff. He's
Town
not a.
Well, back in the sheriff is for a county. He's elected. He's well,
Correct. But this is the
normal
town sheriff, and the town sheriff is literally somebody that the town almost hires.
agrees to pay him.
So the county sheriff is James Quinn's. Let's see here. The ranger marshal who's state appointed, that's Marshal David Rutherford.
They're all located elsewhere.
You have Henry Bishop, who is literally the town sheriff, the town of Coldwater. So his jurisdiction kind of left
once we rode out of town.
Once you rode out of town, but
we're in a posse.
A common courtesy given amongst the.
Yeah, you'd think that if you're doing a posse looking for someone who was up to trouble in your town, you've got some unless the other town's the source of it, you're going to get cooperation generally.
Absolutely, and that's virtually one of the only ways to maintain any sort of law. And again, in towns like this where there's literally, there's no town sheriff, probably because they just simply can't afford one.
The mayor seems to be the head of the Chamber of Commerce.
Right.
Got it.
Well, okay, this is an out of game comment. When are we expecting to hear back from Gustav and Christopher?
We don't.
Well, you don't have an exact.
Well, this is obviously the central location, so short of gunfire, this is the nearest place that we would probably meet. So that's probably pretty. Did Swearingen tell us to come to this town? This is the town he suggested we check out so we can find out more about the mine, right?
Swearingen wanted more information about what was going on at
the mine,
at the very specific mine. Now,
which is a half mile from here. So we're as close as we're going to get to it, short of staying out, camping under the stars.
Yeah, it's a half an hour or a half mile, maybe 3/4 mile, less than a full mile away. Now, the miners that the priest was talking about, the priest was not specific as to what mine was being plagued.
That's true, but obviously the people who went to the said mine and picked up the bodies would know which mine it was. So we can talk to the barkeep or the people in the building. But I mean, there's sort of two ways we can play it. We can either, you can pull out the medical card and say, you know, this is a sheriff, we're in a posse. We found out about the deaths. We want everybody who handled the bodies to report here immediately, and we round them up, or we wait till daylight and do it that way. So, I mean, I'm kind of throwing it out to the party. Any opinions? I mean, we can find out.
It's not so late that the sheriff can't call a couple people. Now, whether we track down everybody who was there, that's not going to happen tonight, or that would be very disruptive.
At best, Mayor Curtis could request, the other town leaders to, rouse themselves tonight. Or they could tell you all to fuck off.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we do have a doctor, and we do have 3 bodies who didn't appear to die from wounds.
Well,
So between it, I think we can probably get the credit rating and get them in here.
Yeah, but from their point of view, they probably buried those people already.
And they weren't locals, so they're not as sorely missed.
Right.
Well, so one of the people that was part of that expedition was a hotel operator. So why don't we go in and talk to him, have a quiet word with him, and see what the next course of action would be.
Well, in this case, then I'd say, well, we should probably split up since we're in town. It appears to be safe. Then we want to talk to people.
Well, there's two places where people might be awake. One is the saloon.
Well, and the church. We already been to one.
And the second one is the hotel, where someone will check us in and get us a room.
Yeah. So, well, we're here now. So, all right. I'm gonna, we're kind of all sitting in the front of the store, and I'm sure the bartender's
Well, we're
looking
riding
at us,
through town. Oh yeah,
for us to do something. So I'll walk over to the bar.
Yeah, let's get a drink.
All right. While y'all are getting a drink, let's go back to Christopher and Gerstock.
All righty.
Team Danger.
That's right.
Yeah, and we're headed right towards it. So
Team
I'll
We're gonna have a
First-
drink. You're
I would
in the
prefer
middle
to
of the
be
shit.
part of Team Peaceful Outcome.
Peaceful, satisfactory outcome.
So I'll start making my way over towards the cave entrance, keeping my eye on said horse. Is it just sitting there, or is it like proceeding further down the mine?
It is. It looks like it's been tied off, right? The first thing that you notice is the horse is just steaming and heavy sweat along its sides.
Ridden hard, put away wet.
Its ears are bent back towards you. So it's you're not 100% sure whether it's heard you per se, but the horse is not listening towards a wall. Right? It'll twist its ears back.
Is it saddled? It
is not saddled. Matter of fact, as you get a little closer, you notice that it's even bleeding on its back a little bit.
like it's been whipped?
Yeah.
It's not really endearing me to this guy, but
No. Well, Christopher, there's the ugly option.
So it wasn't the dismembering people that made you unhappy with them?
mistreating a horse, that's the final straw.
Well, that's just bad form.
Also gonna, while we're doing this, keep an ear out to hear if that hammering stops.
Right. So you heard sort of a ping, 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 a fairly long pause, and then another, ting, 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 ting. 3 hammer blows each time. As you,
Is there a light coming out of the mine?
you can see, again, sort of close your eyes, wait 10 seconds, right? Then kind of open your eyes. So you're kind of getting out even the moonlight kind of out of your, letting those eye cones, you can see a very dim amount of light. It's not bright at all. So
How far away are we?
you're not really sure. I mean, the horse is
We 50 feet or 300 feet?
like 10 feet in front of you.
Oh, okay.
So,
You know, so you're at where the timber was pulled apart from.
that's where I was going to next. Does it look like it's been pried off, ripped off?
Give me a search roll.
That is
Just Christopher?
Yeah, if you both want to examine the boards
2.
to get an impression as to whether this was pried off, torn apart.
You said
Wow.
search or
2D
scrutinize?
plus 2.
This would be a search.
What? One success if it's a 5, or 5, 6, or 7.
Given that you've now, you still got a bit of moonlight. If this was 10 feet further
Success.
into the cave, it'd be worse, but we'll go with a toughness of 5 right now.
All right, so 1 success.
I got 1 success too.
1 success as well. Okay, so you kind of carefully, quietly kind of move some of the timber a little bit here and there, kind of whatever, kind of examining it. You get 2 things. One, it looks like it was definitely once nailed up, and you can see that all the nails are either in the wood or have been pulled through the wood and are on backing of wood. So this wasn't smashed apart. This was
Pride.
pried apart. The second thing that you notice is carved into one of the pieces of wood that you see. And this image is not 100% accurate, but it's pretty close. Give me 1 second while I pull up the image. You see that. Now this depicts stone. This would be
Yeah.
wood. But you see that image carved into one of the pieces of wood.
Stands for Gustav.
Right. So those are the 2 things you get from that.
Interesting.
Isn't that a Mason symbol?
It is.
Yeah.
I don't know if my character would know that, but out of character, yeah, it's a Mason symbol.
That's pretty. Especially back then, that's probably, I don't know if I'd say it's common knowledge, but that's not exactly unusual.
No, that would be somewhat recognizable. The Masons would often, when one of the brothers would die, you'd see that symbol on their gravestones. So that would not be like one of the big secret brother symbology. I would know because my dad is a Mason. And he's only revealed a little bit to me.
And mostly when he was drunk.
Yeah. And my mom's a daughter of the Masons.
So that would make you the redheaded stepchild of the Masons.
Sorry, that makes me a grandchild of the Masons or something. I don't know.
So keep approaching the mine, keeping an eye on the horse to see if it's like getting skittish.
Yeah, matter of fact, you might consider maybe how you guys doing on animal wrangling?
That would just be a plain main roll at a difficulty level of 7, I'm assuming.
Yes.
What was the
Animal
question?
handling
So
or
both
You have animal handling?
of you all give me a animal handling under main. So if you don't have any, which from what I see you don't,
No.
so
Thank
Don't-
God this is a D12.
or if you want to make him really happy, you give him an animal husbandry roll. Well, that's a whole different.
so why don't you go
But
ahead,
folks,
who's feeling particularly good at it? Don't just
Just don't stick your hand up the horses.
So do we roll 1 dice of whatever our mean type is?
now you roll your full mean.
Roll your full mean. Okay,
But it's a
just the
difficulty of
toughness-
7.
Yeah, the difficulty's higher than
I got
if you were just rolling your
You
act.
got this, Gustav?
it. We're gonna find out.
Feel confident?
Not
Didn't sound
particularly.
like a confident nonverbal to me,
Well,
but okay.
my mean is 2d8, so it's gonna be a close one. What do you got?
2d12. But
2d12. I
In
think
that
you-
case, you'd say I'm fair at it, and somebody else would go, "Well, I'm
I'm-
pretty good."
I'm
I'm gonna
pretty
like-
good. Let
I'm
me
gonna like
give it a
this.
try.
I don't suck horribly.
Right.
An 8 and a 10, so a success.
Whew, okay.
Animals don't hate me.
Mhm.
Yeah. You both get by the horse without the horse going berserk on you. Maybe makes another kind of standard horsey noises, but outside of that, you're feeling pretty okay. And you head further into the mine. It gets dark, but you do see some light coming from
We'll carefully head towards the light, keeping an ear open. Like if all of a
Did you
sudden,
hear? Don't go to the light.
Yeah,
It's
wait
right.
for
It's a
light.
common.
making sure to hear if the hammering suddenly stops.
both of you all give me a nimbleness roll.
Uh-oh.
Uh,
Here
difficulty
it
of-
comes.
What's the worst thing that could happen?
Blow out the candle. Oh, wrong game.
Difficulty of 5 for right now.
A success.
One success, one explosion, and so a success and a 9. I guess.
So we haven't tripped over something causing the rocks to fall.
Yeah, because I say it's an older mine. It's got the sort of rail track that you can't see very well. Yeah, it's not the easiest walk in near pitch darkness. You hear another sort of tang, 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 and you hear in between a low guttural voice speaking Latin, maybe?
Now let's see, just as a refresher. So I have, let's see, I have Spanish and Indian Sign Language. I guess it's neither of those.
Neither of those. It's
Just
not
checking.
Spanish. It's not. You kind of recall maybe.
I
I
have a
was-
3 in hand jive.
Do you speak jive?
I got a 2 in Canadian. Does that help, eh?
You don't see the Latin being spoken by hand.
But yeah, you think, huh? Okay. And the Latin phraseology seems to kind of go with a little bit more gusto and strength. As do you continue onward, or do you pause to listen to this?
Pause to listen a little.
Okay.
Have you learned nothing?
Yeah, not to get in the land war in Asia.
He finishes the spell.
Yeah.
Close. Yeah, we're gonna have to put that to a roll. Yeah. Okay. Ting, ting, ting. And then you hear the phraseology and you think it's repeating.
Why don't y'all just stay for a spell? Because something bad's about to happen.
I could really use a hand over here and a foot and a couple of teeth.
Get her. That was your whole plan.
Get her, Ray. So the phrase seems to be repeating from before the clank, 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 and now it's repeating again.
In a very low whisper. What do you think, Gustav?
Well, it's now or never. We can start shooting, or we can start talking, and then start shooting.
Or you could flee.
Or we could
Pretend
play.
you were never there.
I can light this here lamp and chuck it. Let's see. Oh,
I don't want to take the coward's way out, but I think we have the potential for being in over our head. Let's get back to the town.
for the record, I have 1 stick of dynamite. Now that we're in an enclosed space with a stranger speaking in tongues. Yeah, I think maybe we should go back for the others.
Yeah. So we'll slowly reverse course and sneak back out to our horses.
Okay. And I think that's where we're gonna wrap it for the night.
Now, if we wanted to be a shit, we could put a boot on his horse before we leave.
No, I
Unpaid,
think
unpaid
that's
parking
good.
ticket.
I think that's a good place to
Yeah.
park it there. So.
Yeah.
All right.